Welcome to Let Freedom Ring. I love doing the theme music off my cell phone to start episodes because usually when you do the shows in studio, you can't see what I'm doing. I'm like dancing before it. But, anyways, my guest tonight on the Let Freedom Ring live stream, an old friend of mine, Plymouth Stater
Oh.
like myself, Rikki Graham. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Dan. I'm so excited. It's a Peace State, man. Peace State. It's been a long time.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited to have you, and I had to. You sent me these, so I just want to put them on air. Just kind of the Plymouth State days. We were much
Look, look at
much
us.
younger.
Yes. God, how long though? Like, think about it for real. How long?
That's
Is it
that's like
like
2007
15?
right there.
I don't even want to talk about it. But look at us running the roux tables.
Yeah, this was a much classier one.
Oh, well, not
Probably.
really.
I don't think that was college though. I
No,
mean, I got a beer
I
in my
bought the
hand.
BMW that day. We think we
Yeah,
might have been at the karaoke
I'm pretty sure we were at karaoke that night.
place.
Um,
What was
but
that restaurant?
and John, we got some people watching here. Shout out to Johnny Burke. Good to see you, Johnny. But let's get into things here. Want to get to know you a little bit.
Okay.
Um, so, where are you from? Where'd you grow up? Where are you now?
So, contrary to belief, even though I'm down in the South now, I'm born and raised in Nashua. So New England all the way. I went to Peace State in Plymouth, and you know that because you were my neighbor. I was telling someone the other day, and I don't know if good old McVick jumps on and ever watches you, but I was telling someone about how I knew you because they wanted to know about our dynamics and why I was going to be on your show. And I was like, yeah, you used to live next to me in the dorms, and we used to talk through the bathroom walls by knocking on
That is
the
true.
bathroom walls. So P State, um, Manchester, and then down to North Carolina. So I'm in North Carolina now. I'm in Hickory, which we were just joking about. Like you probably won't even be able to throw a dart and know where it is, but it's central. So central, an hour and a half from Raleigh, an hour and a half from Asheville, but I've lived in all those different areas. I've kind of traveled around. So, but I'm in the South now.
How did you make that decision? Because you've been down there for a while. It's got to be a decade, right?
10 years in July.
Okay,
10 years. Yes. Um, you want to know the truth? People,
sure.
places, and things for drinking, honestly. Like, now I didn't know it at the time. So I was working for Home Goods back then. And I I had a great mentor, amazing mentor. Man, she was setting me up for success. But I was still partying and drinking like we were out of P State. You remember I lived with the girls over on Charlotte Ave for a while? I don't know if you
Yeah,
remember
I
that.
went over. I
Yeah.
was over there. Yeah, I've been
See,
over there.
so it was like the party just continued. Like adulting wasn't a thing yet. And so I just I got scared of being an adult. I got scared of having to be responsible, and I didn't want to take on any of those responsibilities. And I wanted to run kind of, because guess what? Like, people, places, and things, you'll hear that a lot in my story, but you try to relocate to run away from problems, and I said, well, it's a fresh start. Nobody knows me down there. Like, well, that didn't take long. Um, I can start over down in North Carolina. It's where a lot of my family was. My grandparents lived down here. I live next to
Okay.
my aunt and uncle now on my mom's side, all Donella side. Hi, Donella. Um, so yeah, and guess what? I followed myself. So that's they say, like, no matter where you go, you're still there. So my problems just followed me right down here. But that's why I came to North Carolina. I wanted to
Okay.
get away from things in New Hampshire. Plus, I hate snow, Dan. I hate it.
Oh yes. I mean, I
I hate snow.
understand. I don't know if I could ever leave New England because like I love it. Like today was Marathon Monday,
Yeah.
and it's just like, man, do I love this region? Do I hate the winter? Absolutely. But
Yeah.
I try to find things to find enjoyable about it. I need to get back
Yeah.
into like winter hiking, but what are three things that everybody should know about you?
I had to write these down because I was like, I don't even know. One,
Oh, we don't allow notes on the show, so
you're lying,
ah.
right? Okay. It's stupid. All right. Well, okay. So this one I'm going to get made fun of. And I don't know. Would you say, talking to me right now, that you can tell I have an accent now, like from being down here for 10 years? You're going to say yes. No?
I'm not hearing it. I'm not
Okay,
hearing it. Okay.
because something that you should know is that I can now switch very fluidly between Southern and Boston. And I get to use them interchangeably, but I sometimes don't know when it like flows into like one conversation. So when I was at work, for instance, when I worked at my corporate job with Verizon, good example would be if I was trying to sell something to people down here. Like you can't be from New England and try to sell to like little 80-year-old, Southern belles. Like they don't even understand what you're saying. So you have to slow it like way down and say, like, listen,
Oh,
honey, I
okay.
know, I know that you don't know how the cell phone works, but bless it, I'm telling you, this is as easy as it comes. And like blah, blah, blah. And then if I got a mad customer that came in, Boston Rikki was out, and I was talking 900 miles an hour, dropping my R's and being like, look, if you need to talk to a manager, I'll get him right here for you, but I'm not going to listen to this anymore. Like, you need to get out. Like, and so Tiffany and Tim give me a really hard time because I'll drop a y'all every once in a
Oh, okay.
while, and they'll say, what do you just say? Y'all. So that's one thing. I can go right between it. So don't make fun of me if I say y'all
Oh,
or
yeah.
anything.
That. Okay. All right.
You're like, yeah, now I'm gonna write it down. Um, let's see. I actually just told you the other thing is that I hate snow. And I feel like as a New Englander, it's almost like blasphemy. Do you remember the ski program?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
It's not the only time I liked snow, but I really I really just liked hanging out with all my friends and going up to Pat's Peak and not having to come home till like 11 o'clock at night and like chilling in the lounge eating, what was it, hot cocoa and cookies and stuff with
Is
your.
that how long you guys were? I never did the ski program because I
You
just
never
was
did
never.
it?
I wasn't interested in skiing. I still am not interested in skiing. I
I
went
was
with
going
one
to
of my
say
exes at Plymouth one time. That was
yeah.
it.
I don't think I skied in Plymouth. I don't think I ever. Yeah, but yeah, it was. I want to say it was Friday nights, or it was. I mean, it could whatever. It was a random night out of the week. It might have been Friday, but they would load us all up early. We got to leave school like an hour early, and we would go get on a bus. And of course, girls and boys would sit in the back and like flirt and stuff, and like watch movies on the back of the bus. And what's the drive from Nashua to Pat's Peak? Like an
It's
hour,
got to be
45
an hour.
minutes?
It's got to be an hour or so. Yeah.
Yeah, so we would leave school early, which was bomb, get up there. And then yeah, it was fun. Like it was, and my favorite part was always almost springtime because you could go skiing in like your t-shirt and your jeans. Like it was perfect. Like you didn't have to button up or anything. And then you come home late. They bring us home at like, I think we leave Pat's at like 8 or something, and your parents would come pick you up at the school at like 9 o'clock or something. It felt adult like. So but I hate snow. That's why I mean, down here you get the perfect mix of seasons, Dan. We get a long fall, long
I
fall.
if I ever moved, North Carolina would be on a list of places that I would consider for sure. But I don't know if I'm going to do that.
You're never
Uh,
gonna leave New England.
Probably not. I mean, I'm pretty ingrained here. I'm
Yeah, that's
very
what I was gonna
proud to
say.
be from New Hampshire, for no doubt. If you know anybody that knows me knows that.
Yep.
All right, that's two, I believe. Do you have one more?
Yeah, I think you put it on your thing, but proud to say that today, and this is why I needed my notes because I don't even keep track anymore. But 5 years, 11 months, and 12 days
Wow.
sober free. So
Congratulations.
thanks. And it's funny. I used, we'll talk more, but I used to have to count the minutes. I used to count like the days, the hours, every single day. And now the big ones count. Like I'm excited to go pick up a 6-year chip, knock on wood. But yeah, so once you start living life where you don't even count anymore, that means you're just kind of living life, like it's just like, oh, am I at 6 years? Holy crap. Like, okay, cool. Like, so what? Like, it's just life now, but it's pretty cool. I'm proud of it. So,
No, I love that. And I am
yeah,
super proud of you. And I think
proud
that's
of
so
you.
amazing. So,
Yeah, thanks.
and we're gonna touch base on that because that's a big part of who Ricky is. I
Hmm.
want to ask the money question here on Let Freedom Ring, which we ask everybody.
Yes.
The theme, sticking to the theme of the show. I love saying it like that. I should put that on I've always said I want to put that on a t-shirt, just sticking with the theme of the show. But what does it mean to you to be an American?
And I was thinking, what's funny, Dan, is that how long has it been since somebody's asked me that? Like
I
that's the
don't know,
sad
sixth
thing.
grade, maybe fifth grade,
Yeah, well, and then that's
fourth
how
grade.
much I feel that we take it for granted. Like I'll sit here and watch the news and like almost be like a whole nother world watching the things that people go through, in different countries. And I just think to myself, like, like, holy, they do that. Like, that's, I don't know. I sound so uneducated to say it like that. I know it's real, but you're just so disconnected unless you're watching it. It's almost like the blinders are on. So, what it means to be American is, one, as a woman, I'm happy that I live in a country where I can and do say anything that I want, with protection and just as much power as any man or anybody else. I'm not saying all these people that say like women can do what men can do. Like, yeah, but I probably can't do half of it as good. Like, you're a man, I'm a woman, it's fine. But like the other stuff I'm proud of. But the business thing too, like, and we're gonna talk about that. But I watched my dad, and again, he's probably going to catch this episode too, Curtis. So, and I asked if I was okay if I discussed some of his, dream too, because that's what I'm tied into with it. But he was running he's 6-figure corporate, traveling across the world to different countries and um, corporate America, right? And he quit that to start his own business. And we all thought he was nuts. I thought, this is it. My dad is having a midlife crisis. Something's happening here. Like, what does he mean he's going to start his own business? And you know what though? Like, this is the country where if you want it and you work for it, you can do it. Like, there is no like American dream for one person. Like, it's not one streamlined theme. It's whatever you want. And you can do it as long as you want it. And I think that is the coolest thing about America, because I watched him succeed at something that everybody else thought I was like, you're crazy. Like, what are you doing? But yeah, so happy to be in a country where we're not dealing with some of the stuff they are. It's, heartbreaking to see all that other stuff over there. So
No, no, I love that answer. That's a good solid answer. Because sometimes we get all kinds of different responses to that, but that's a well thought out answer.
what's
So
another good answer you get? What
no,
are you expecting from me?
sometimes we just get freedom, but I think
Oh,
freedom is really hard for people to explain what they mean.
yeah.
So
Well,
that's why it's a loaded question. Like, because when we ask it, we're looking for, like, anybody can say that, but what does that
mhm.
actually look like and mean to you? So I appreciate
Yeah,
that answer. You got a shout out here from Tina Anderson. You go, Rikki.
that's
Um,
that's Road Dog. We call her
so
Road Dog. Hi, Road
yeah,
Dog.
getting some shout outs here.
Hey.
Tabitha.
Yeah.
Uh, how do I say? Is Michelle Colburn?
Coburn. Yeah.
Colburn.
Hey, Tabby. She's one of my old Verizon customers down here, and she's awesome. She runs her own business too down here. So, or
Oh,
she
very
did.
nice.
It's been a hot minute, but she ran a vape store down here and stuff. And she's her and her whole family and
Very
Tina,
cool.
love them all.
Awesome, awesome. Well, let's get into something here. We want to talk about this because we did talk about this in the promotion of the show. You are a woman in recovery,
I am.
which is very awesome. Like the amount of sobriety that you've been in. Um, how did you decide that it was time to get sober?
I want to can I give a quick shout out to, like, I saw, Brittany, and I know you might say she gave me one, but I watched hers too. And I thought to myself, it's crazy to think, people in different paths from my past that, also struggled with either addiction or alcoholism or whatever it was. And you almost are like nervous to get sober at first because it's almost embarrassing because the moment that brought me there was embarrassing. It was shameful, and that I needed it though. And so, like, when I see other people that are on that same level, it like and you too, makes my heart happy because I'm like, like, now we can talk about it openly and not be embarrassed. And like, I'm super proud of Brittany too. So like, I just wanted to say that. But for me, it took it took a rock bottom. It took a bottom and then another rock bottom. we drank together in college. Look at those pictures. I've always, for my entire life, been a blackout drinker. Always. Never been I always thought, it's weird. You think something's wrong. Like, why do I drink differently than other people? Like, what's wrong with me? Like, and you can only joke it off for so long. And, you have a good sense of humor, good sarcasm. I'm the same way. It's always easy to joke about, like, oh God, like, do you remember when I went down in the sewers in Plymouth State and came out with no pants on and then partied?
Was
Do you
that
remember
like
that?
the when
Ninja turtling?
you sunk into the ground, or this was another?
No, 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 no. This was spring break when we had Dropkick Murphys there, and I went into the sewers with a bunch of the guys up there and crawled
Okay,
around and then went to the parties.
I
Like,
think we were separated that night. Was that '07? What year was that? I don't know.
I don't know. I
I'm
don't
not
know.
sure.
But either way, Dan, that's stuff like, yeah, I can laugh about it now, but like that's the stuff we did. Like that's the stuff people expected from me. Like, hey Tab.
Just saying, she's proud of you.
I know. That's the stuff that like I used to joke because I was embarrassed that like why was I the one doing that stuff? Like why was everybody else normal still and like they were able to cut themselves off and I just never could. And for me, I got a DUI in 2015 and it was when I down here. It was down here because remember I ran from my problems because everything was going to get better down here in a different state. So I got pulled over leaving a bar in North Carolina, and I blew a .08, and like I was excited, like I thought that was the law, like I was like yes, like, and I remember his name was State Trooper Beaver, and
What
he's
a
like,
name.
why? I know, yeah, right. Well, the things you remember, I obviously wasn't that drunk, but
Yeah.
.08, I thought that was the legal limit. This is how uneducated I was. And he went, no, 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 .07, and you get to say that. He goes, .08, you're coming with me, and I'm cuffing you. And I was like, what? Like, no, why? Like, that's stupid, or whatever. So that was a joke. That was just a joke. It was a slap on the hand. You don't lose your license, really. You just get like one of those restricted licenses where you have to have like the paper with you at all times. Another just funny story about how Rikki got a .08 DUI, and I laughed about it, right? And then in 2017, I had a bad breakup back then too that caused me to like spiral into just bad, risky behaviors and bad decisions and depression. And the drinking started turning into isolation. I didn't drink for partying anymore. I didn't drink for bars anymore. I mean, I still would, but I would prefer hiding it and like staying at home. And like, I went from being that crazy person that people were like, has anybody seen Rikki? Like, oh man, she's passed out outside in the parking lot, to people calling me and saying, are you okay? Did you make it home? Like, are you alive? Like, we haven't heard from you. And it was because I would just stay home and just drink myself to the point where I was blacked out. Could have caught my house on fire multiple times when I was cooking at 3 a.m. and fell asleep. And I ended up getting another DUI on Cinco de Mayo. Shout out Kayla. I was leaving her house up here in North Carolina. And no, she's one of my best friends down here. But and I blew a .17 by the time I got down to the station. So try reading a police log when you're sober. Like the stuff that I read, like I stopped because I saw police lights. It was a roadblock, Dan. It was a roadblock. Okay. I thought it was an accident in the middle of the road. So I stopped in the middle of the road, like 2 miles back and just put it in park and sat there for like 20 minutes. Cause I was like, is this accident
Yeah.
clear up? And as I approached, like they did, I was 3 sheets to the wind. I'd been drinking all darn day. And at that point, it was just shame. Like it wasn't funny anymore. My friend Kayla had bailed me out now twice from jail. And this time I knew license is going to be gone. No license meant I was going to lose my house because I could not afford my house. I had to call my parents and tell them that I got arrested again. And it was just pure defeat. um pure defeat. It was like I just all of a sudden realized that I was powerless against it, and I was sick and tired of that feeling. And honestly, and this is touchy, I don't even know, I think my parents know, but I had thoughts of suicide,
Yeah.
and that's not me. That's not me. I don't think that way. I don't have those thoughts. I never really have. But it was just because I was down by myself in my house, like looking at all the stuff that I'd built that I thought I could maintain, and realizing that I was at the time I was 32, 31, and I I can't swear right. I pooped it all away. It was
We're on the
gone.
live stream. You can say whatever you want.
Oh, don't say that. Um, okay, I shit it all away. Like I
Yeah.
just in one night, like it was all gone. And then the only like this is gonna sound bad too, but the only thing that kept me from killing myself. Don't take it wrong, any of my family and friends that are like, what? Like we didn't think, but my dogs. I was like, I had to take care of my dogs. They're like my babies. I don't have children. And I thought if I killed myself in this house, how long is it gonna be before somebody finds me and are my dogs gonna be okay? Like that's how insane my brain was. Like insane. And so that was it. That was my last drink. It was my last drink was obviously 5-4. And then so 5-5 was my first day technically sober. And I went to rehab because I wanted to get out of jail time. Best thing I've ever done. Best thing I've ever done. And then here we are.
No, I no, that's a good story, and I like how I totally relate to. I have had a suicide attempt. I've made that public. Everybody, and I've talked about that on the show.
Yeah,
So I applaud you for saying that. But I look at my own issues. That was definitely tied to alcohol, right?
absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
you think about the insanity when you have hit that level of the crazy things that happen because of alcohol and alcoholism and the mentality and the crazy things that happen, they pile up,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. And it
um
wasn't even the actions because it's hard for people that don't understand to understand. It just is what it is and it's fine. But people that haven't lived it or been with somebody who's lived it don't just get it. Like, well, just, like I always joke with people, but I posted something the other day where they were like, I think it was Lucy Hale, that actress, and she said, somebody said to me, well, Lucy, just drink one or just don't drink. And she was like, oh, geez, thanks a lot. Like, why didn't I think of that? Like,
yeah,
and I have people still ask me that, like, well, can't you just have one or two? Like, I wish, like, I wouldn't be here if I could. Like, I just can't. My brain's different. Like, it's different. Whether you want to call it an allergy, I don't know how some people think about
i
it.
I look at it that way
I
as
think it
someone in
is.
AA, but yes.
Uh-huh. I think it is partially something in our brains just does it processes it differently, the dopamine. So it releases something that makes us just the phenomenon of craving. Like the cannot do anything unless you have another and another and another. It's you can't really explain it to anybody who doesn't have it. It's
That's
weird.
it. I mean, I know we're both people in recovery. I'm very new into sobriety, but I do believe that there's not one time that I've been able to have one drink that I can in my whole life. Once alcohol has hit my system, it's game over. I will drink
Yep.
it till I pass out.
Hmm.
And I heard someone say if I was on a deserted island, there was one beer, I wouldn't drink it because there wasn't 100 more. And I
Yeah,
was
I've
like,
never
that.
heard that, but that's true.
That is 100% because I've done that type of stuff before, where it
Yeah,
was like,
it's
oh, I
insanity.
have I have one. I can't drink this unless I make a run to the store first.
Well, at least you were
You know.
responsible. I would drink it, then I would go to the store
Well,
and
yeah, it
think about all
depends.
the people's life that I put into danger. That's the other thing. Like I'm just so grateful that I didn't hurt anybody, Dan, because there were nights that I don't even know how I made it home. I don't know. I blacked out and drove home. Like, how did I not kill somebody else? And I put myself in that position.
Yeah.
I totaled plenty of cars. I totaled all my cars in Plymouth. I totaled plenty of cars. Like I should have probably died. Like there was plenty of opportunities where I drove into trees myself, like with no one involved except Jack Daniels. And but yet somehow my higher power said, "Nope, you're good." But how many times could I have irresponsibly killed somebody else, and that wasn't their decision, it was mine. And that was another thing that kind of made me, because I'd proved to myself for 32 years that I couldn't do it. I couldn't do
Yep.
it. How many times I tried, I was like, I'm never drinking and driving again, I'll just take Ubers. And I would do it for 2 months, 3 months, and then little driving here, little driving there, bam, wreck another car, DUI. Like it's progressive. It's a progressive disease
I know.
or
I
origin. So
100% agree. I mean, I did get to know Uber very, very well. That was an app that was always on my phone, but
mhm.
it's pretty sad when you need to take an Uber at 12:30 in the afternoon to go to your brother's house. You know what I mean? That's where it's like, you know,
I didn't
it's
have a license for 4 years.
yeah.
I took Ubers, and I had the same people that I knew about. That's another thing. It's like, here I am, can't even drive myself to work, and I'd have to tell people that at work when I went in for appointments that I have to say, well, I don't have a license. I have to be here. Like, so you just constantly get reminded. You're constantly. It's not even like a bad thing anymore. I'm just constantly humbled. Like I'm constantly humbled. Thankful to be alive. Thankful I didn't kill anybody else, and thankful that I went through those things, because I'd still be drinking or I'd be dead right now. 1,000%.
Well,
Thousand percent.
and now you said five plus years in sobriety. Like, what have been the greatest hurdles that you've gone through in your life since?
When I first got sober or since then?
It could be
Because
first. I would say probably more first because it sounds like this has just become such. This is who you are now.
it
Like,
is. Yeah, it is. Um, there's still hurdles now that are different. That's the funny thing, is that you learn more about yourself the longer you're sober, because all that crap that you were drinking away and shoving down and just, saying alcohol changes who I am and makes me more fun and makes me more this, like it's hiding something, it's masking something. And then you have to start addressing that. So it is still really difficult. But in the beginning, it was everything. Dan, like every single thing I did. I wish I brought my journal in here, even though you said no notes. When I thought, like, how am I gonna, like, I remember writing down, because I journaled a lot. If anybody's getting sober or thinking about doing it or getting back into recovery or anything, if you journal, like, that's a big thing for me, because it was my own words. I have a ton of literature. You can't see my bookshelf. I've got all the books. I've got all these different things on, like the steps and the this and the literature, and that's all great. Those are all super important. But when I really need a reminder, I pull out my journal from my very first day sober, from the morning I got out of jail, from my first day of rehab, because I can't recreate those feelings. Like I can't, but I have to remember them directly from my own words. And I didn't know how to live. I didn't know how to live, Dan. How do you go to the beach? How do I go to the beach when I can't have beers? Like, this is crazy. What do you mean? How am I going to barbecue? How can I barbecue? How can I go bowling? How do I, I don't even know. How do I go out to eat? How do I have Mexican food if I can't drink margaritas? Like, I started thinking about, how do I go out on the lake? How do I go on a road trip? How do I go camping? Like, I thought everything. And then I had to think about it, and I had to be like, holy crap. Like, my whole life was revolved around the booze, not like the booze was just integrated in my life. I thought every single thing that I did, I had to remember, well, how am I going to do that? How am I going to go on a date if I'm not loosened up first? How am I going to be funny? How am I going to meet someone? How am I going to have friends? How am I going to go to parties? Like, I was scared, thinking, like, how am I going to do anything? And you know what I did? I hit every single AA meeting that I possibly could. They say 90 and 90, but I was afforded the I don't even know what the right word is, the grace to be able to live, like, with my aunt and uncle, who I now rent the house next to them, which is super cool. But they let me live there for next to nothing. When I was suicidal, came and got me, moved me in, took my dogs with them. And I went to rehab here, well, Charlotte. Then I came, and I didn't have to get a job right away, because they were like, we just want you to be healthy and get sober. So I went to meetings in the morning. I went to the 10 o'clocks. I went to the noons. I went to the 5 o'clocks. And then sometimes I'd go to the 8 o'clocks because you know what? I didn't know what else to do with myself. So finding the idle time was super hard for me in the beginning because I don't know about you, but when you're in your own head, that's the worst place to be. If I'm in my head,
Oh, I mean, one of my, when you list out your triggers in rehab, and it talked about boredom is like one of the biggest
yep,
that, that downtime. So yeah, or alone with, yeah, definitely alone with your own thoughts. If you start going down a rabbit hole, which
yep.
I'm learning to not. That's something, obviously I'm working on, but
Do you
yeah,
have do you have I don't know if I'm too personal. Do you have a sponsor or do you have somebody that you work with?
absolutely. Yeah,
Good. I was going to say because you know what? You just have to let somebody else do your thinking until you start to be able to do it yourself. And it sounds stupid, but it's the truth. Like I would have to call people because I would say, well, what should I do? Like, here's my thought. And they go, let's talk that through a little bit and think about it. And then I go, oh God, you're right. That would have been a bad choice, even sober. Like, so the hurdles were definitely idle time, boredom, retraining my brain that I didn't have to live my life around the alcohol. Um, like alcohol didn't have to be intertwined in my life in order for me to go do those things. Like I thought I'm never going to go to the beach again because I can't drink. Like, hello, like what? Um, and then now it's been dealing with the inner stuff. Working the steps. I've actually never worked all of the steps. 5 years sober, never worked all the steps. I'm on 4.
it seems to be a thing though. Like you know what? I'm slowly. I started them, but it is a lot of work, and it is a lot of times where you have to meet, and it can be hard, especially if you're trying
Mm-hmm.
to make a lot of meetings as well. You know.
That is true. Mine was because I did the big no, and my first sponsor actually passed away to an OD, which sucks. But
Oh
she
no.
did tell me the magic rule, right? Don't date as soon as you get in because you're vulnerable. You don't know who you are yet. You don't know life without booze or whatever it is you're doing. Well, blah. I don't listen to anybody. My ideas are the best. So I started dating the guy that I was with for the last 5 years, and so I put my sobriety was still there. I was dry. Like I haven't drank in 5 years, but I haven't worked steps to be like kind of more grounded and spiritually well and just mental health wise because what people don't get, the steps are just therapy. Like let's be honest, it's therapy for alcoholics. It's something that some guy somewhere back in the 30s and 40s got together with somebody else that also had the same issues and they started hashing out like holy crap, your issue, that's I dealt with the same thing, let's talk about why we both like that both affected us. And then it just evolved into diving into your emotions and what causes you to do this. And maybe it is the brain, maybe it's the allergy, but it's also a lot. Like for me, it was all emotional drinking. I was never physically dependent.
Well,
It would scare me if I was physically dependent. So
it turns into it turns into everything. And shout out to Kevin, friendly fire. Let's go. That's my tournament softball team. I think he's saying to both of us, keep up the good work
oh,
here. So,
thanks.
um, no, I think I'm a big believer in the allergy because I just know how my body has always felt my whole life. Was once there was alcohol in my system, it was gonna drink till I passed out or
Yep.
and as I got older it got harder. Like it was just turning into like, okay, you got to go to bed because wasn't passing out that easy from a large amount of alcohol.
And waking up was
uh,
way harder, like
yeah,
for me at least.
you know but how has your life changed overall?
So I've been through so much, lots of things, and no matter what though, a good day. What do I always? It's a good day sober. No, a bad day sober is always still better than a good day drunk for me. Like I've lost people. I've gone to so many funerals. I've had bad relationships. I've had fights. I've lost jobs, but it doesn't even make a difference because it's nothing to drink over for me. It's good. Life is good. I can't imagine. Like the phenomenon of craving was lifted for me so fast in the beginning, even though my brain was like, how do you do anything? How do I do anything? I'm the girl that drinks all the time. How am I ever going to be funny anymore? But like my actual body, I didn't want it. Like I knew like I don't ever want to feel that way again. Um and you don't have to. Just one day at a time. One day at a time. And I'm still very much involved in AA. Not as much as I wanted to be the last few weeks. But again, to your point, Dan, really it's so easy to make excuses, especially if you are busy. You know, we get busy, life's busy, but all it takes is one bad thought and you could be right back at that liquor store. um and I've seen people do it. I've seen people with 20 years sobriety that have established life. They've had kids now. They've done this, they've done that. They're the people that are sponsoring 10 people underneath of them that you look up to and you think, I want what that person has. If that person can do it, I can do it. Like there's no way. And just for one reason or another, one day you just don't see them at a meeting again. And then somebody says, oh yeah, they went back out. And a lot of times
Oh,
they don't make it back in.
I've said this many times. I've said this in group. I've said this to other friends that are sober now. That scares the shit out of me. And when I was in rehab, right? So when I left, because listen, I was at a point myself, like, this is the end. I can't take it anymore. Like, and I don't have like a crazy story. I never got arrested, never got a DUI. I don't really have like everybody's rock bottom's a little bit different, right? My life
Yes.
was, because you say your life wasn't manageable. Mine emotionally wasn't manageable. Everything was going like, by the grace of God, I was able to do all my commitments and everything I needed to do. But when I got to rehab, the whole thing was like, I'm done with this. I'm 38 years
Mm,
old. I can't take it anymore. I don't even fucking enjoy this anymore.
right.
Okay,
Yeah.
this is fucking a living hell. And when I got there, you start realizing I started talking to people that have been there multiple times because my big question was like, how does this happen? Because I just thought rehab meant won't do it ever again. Right. I'm
No.
I'm I'm so focused on I don't know what the work's gonna be and everything yet. And again, it's still very new, but I went up to everybody. And a lot of
Hmm.
them said this it was like the same story was yeah, that bad thought, or they thought they could just have one. And
Yeah.
I heard that like several times, and I go, if I ever told myself I could have one, I'd just be lying to myself. Like, there's no way I actually believe that. And I
Well, you
almost felt
might
like
still drink though. You might still drink because it's
it,
insane.
well,
We're
that's the
insane.
scary thing. Like, I know if I drank it, I'm just choosing to burn down my life, or go to an
Hmm.
early grave.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, it's you I love that you said the unmanageability thing because I totally that is 1,000% that was it. That was it because if I hadn't lost my house, car, driver's license, whatever, I didn't care that to me manageability. What are you cracking? I'm just kidding.
Canada Dry.
It doesn't. I'm just
I
being
drink a
silly.
lot of seltzer water.
Yeah, that's good. But no, think about what used to be manageable for us. Me, what was my level of manageability? Oop, am I still
I think
there?
you're back.
Sorry.
You're back.
What was my level of manageability? Okay. Driving home at 3 a.m. with one eye closed so I could see the line, throwing up in my own shirt so that I could make it home, getting up and trying to go to work at 7 o'clock the next morning to not throw up at work and look disgusting because I'm hungover and not be able to do my job, but yet still make it. That was managing to me. I was still doing my job. I still had a house. I still had a car. Like, how sickening is that thought? That was manageable. It wasn't until I said, oh, great, now I don't physically have a car. I can't manage. I don't physically have a home. I can't say I still have a house and a car and a job. That was what it took for me to say, I guess life has to be unmanageable. None of the other crap I would do that was basically embarrassingly insane. To me, that was all just part of the, whatever. Like, that was just part of it. Like, that was totally manageable. Like, no, not at all.
Well, it's kind of crazy. I think because I've said this on the show. I've said this very publicly. Like I always thought what I did in college I would grow out of, right? Because when you're in college and some of that drinking stories, we think it's funny.
Yeah,
We think
that's
the
what you do
blacking
in
out
college.
we think the blacking out is funny and all that stuff. But when you look back, it's like, man, that was kind of dangerous. But the problem was it wasn't just in college anymore. Like this had followed me,
Right.
and that's when yeah, you're right. The insanity, the thoughts that you have, it's just alcoholism is it's a prison. It really is, you
Do you
know.
feel free now though that you found other people that get what you're like feeling and you don't feel anymore like what's wrong with me? Why do I drink this way and other people don't?
Yeah, I mean, I started like for me personally, I started noticing like a difference. Like I've said this, like I was aware probably that I was an alcoholic probably like 10, 11 years ago where I started to say, yeah. But again, I was always able to manage everything. So like I was like, yeah, but I'm fine. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
I never really compared myself to others, but then it started being like, later it was like I'm always the one that's blacked out when we go to do something, right? We go to the Celtics game, I don't fucking remember them playing. Go to a Patriots game, I don't remember the game,
Yeah.
and but I never like I knew that I was different. The with me, it was more like how do I fix this? And everything I did didn't work, right?
Did you
But
ever
for
try
the
to drink responsibly?
um
Like
drinking
only drink
response
in the
no
weekends, only drink past 8 o'clock, only drink beer.
Um, no, I would, responsibility to me was like I went to the bar, had two beers, and I pieced out so I could go home and really drink
Yeah,
instead of
that's
instead of staying with my friends because I'd
isolation.
rather be by
Yeah.
myself and just, um. But yeah,
Mhm.
I went in cycles. I tried I will never go back to non-alcoholic beer. That was a total disaster that did not work in any
Yeah.
such way. But I would say over the last 2 years, I started dipping my toes. Oh, or like 2 years ago, I was the first time I ever went to AA, and I wish I continued it.
Hmm.
But um, I
Everything
knew,
happens for a reason the way it needs to, though.
oh, absolutely. But I will say, rehab for me was, I knew that was the only way everything I did didn't work. And
Right.
now, realizing people die from detoxing on their own, and I think about all the times I detoxed myself,
Hmm.
not going out for a whole weekend,
Yeah.
staying in the house and just detoxing. Um,
That's so
I know.
dangerous, Dan. Like you seizures and stuff, you know?
Oh, I didn't know that. And then I honestly didn't know that until two famous people like very like died very close. And I said, holy, there were so many things I wasn't aware of. To be honest, I didn't even know you could go to rehab for alcohol until like 2 years ago. Okay. That's how like for me,
Well,
I didn't know there was a lot of options. I just thought you go to AA and that should do it. And it didn't
right.
do that for me right
Magic,
away.
the magic pill.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
Not, but I
No,
do
it's
want
the
yeah, go ahead.
camaraderie though too. Sorry, I was gonna say it's the camaraderie. Like it's I feel like it's a secret club that nobody ever wants to like admit that they go to, but once you do and you're in, you're like, damn, like this is the place to be. I feel home and I feel like the people in here get me in a different way that other people don't sometimes. And it's not better or worse because I still have best of friends. Like freaking Tiffany Tenuo, for instance. Like you could drink and do whatever you want and not be like me. And I still love you and you're like my sister. But I have people in these rooms that have bonds with me on different levels because they get certain things. And it just kind of feels like I'm home. Like any meeting I go to, I went to a meeting in Nashua with my brother. I went to a couple of them up there. I hope he's not mad. I just said that. He just wanted to kind of check it out. But he came with me to there was one downtown at that giant church next to Michael Timothy's. Yeah,
Good
I like
Shepherd.
that one. Yeah. And then there was one in this like little I don't even know what it was. It was like a dance studio place or something back off the bat. But anyways, I went to a couple and it's like I've gone to them in Florida. You just walk, you can find them anywhere, and you're home. You walk in, people hug you, say hi. They want to know your story real quick, and thank you for being here. It's like you're welcome anywhere you go. It's pretty cool.
No, absolutely, and yeah, it's out there, and which is that kind of leads into my next question, and this kind of final one with
Mm-hmm.
recovery. What would you tell to someone out there feeling hopeless? What would you tell them to do? Or it's hard to tell anybody to do, but what would be
I
your
know what
advice?
I know what you mean. Don't I don't be scared to walk into that crappy little room and sit in the corner in the dark and don't talk to anybody and just listen. Like that was the one thing. Like again, for me in the very beginning, it's like who wants to admit they're going to AA? There's such a negative like stigma and like connotation to that. Like we're using AA, like and yes, it's just kind of always how it's been though. Like people just, but don't be scared, and don't be scared to reach out. Like I mean, I don't know how many people you reach, Dan, but if there's people out there and they want to talk to me or they want to talk to people that I know that are in recovery, anonymity is important. But if I have people that don't care, like we'll sing it to the rooftops, like come talk to me. Like look for somebody else that feels what you feel and just walk in and sit and listen and just keep going back. That's one day at a time. One day at a time, and just keep going, and don't stop going until the miracle happens. The second you stop, that's when it could be the last time. I've seen too many people give up because they don't think it's for them, and unfortunately I've had to go to their funerals. Like it's no joke. It's out
Yeah.
there, like it'll get you. So but yeah, they're welcome to contact me. I don't care.
Awesome. And there's a lot out there, and I have to say, like, that's I've always, publicly I've talked about all this stuff because that actually helps me.
Yeah.
Episodes like this of the show help me talking about it being because I feel like if I try to live this facade that's not real, like I have my whole life, or like I knew it was real, but like only like a very small select group of people knew it was real, then it wasn't real, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I gotta, I have to live my life in reality all over the place because that's who I am.
Yeah.
Um, but I will say that there's so many, Brittany's a great example, right? She, we had her on the show, and I remember thinking, man, I want that. Nick at the studio, I said this, he runs the studio. I said, talking about his sobriety, I was like, I want that. And I have so many other, my buddy Jesse was an inspiration, and all these other people in sobriety that play softball. And I would listen to that and be like, God damn it, I want that.
Yeah.
I'm tired of this.
Mm-hmm.
I really am.
Sick and tired of
And
being sick and tired.
100%. So, yes, anybody out there that is struggling, trust me, it took an old ass man like I am now. Not super, but it took me till I was
Yeah.
38 to really to actually do something about something I hated about myself, because in all honesty, like we said, it just was,
Embarrassing.
it's
Yeah, you don't.
it's not fun. It's not fun feeling like shit all the time. It's not fun being dependent on a substance to try. It's just not something I wish on my
Yeah.
worst enemy.
No, and the
Okay.
one thing I'll say real quick, because I know we have other things to talk about, but if you find yourself wondering if you think you might need help, you probably do. So if this reaches anyone and you're thinking like, "Yep, I've had those same feelings and thoughts," like anytime someone's like, "How do you know?" Like, "Oh, trust me, if you're even asking me, how do you know?" You probably already know. But the thing is like this works. And you don't have to do AA. It doesn't have to be that. It just finding other people that are on the same level as you and have what you want. How do these people that have 30, 40, 50 years sobriety that have, drank since the 1930s, like I hate to call them the old timers, but it's the truth. Like, how do you have 40 years sober? But I'm going to sit here and say, this isn't going to work for me. Like, that's just to me, that was just non-logical. This is logical. There are people in this room that are walking, living, telling me I've got 10, I've got 20, I've got 40 years sober. So obviously something works. I have to just give it a chance. And it's a spiritual program. So I do believe in God, and I know you do as well. And I do believe in my higher powers, but it is not like people think it's like there's a difference. You can pair church with it if that reaches you in a specific way. For me in the beginning, I didn't have a relationship, and I had to grasp onto like nature and the universe and spiritual things, and because I just didn't have a relationship with a god at that time. So I don't want people to be scared off that it's like a cult or a god thing. Like, no, not at all. So that's the only thing I was gonna say. I get that a lot from people. Like, it's a cult. No, it's not.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't. You see, I don't, talk about it too much. But yeah, but yeah, that's tied into it. But I would also say, from what you're saying too, just because the first group you didn't like doesn't mean you might not like the next one.
There's
And that's
plenty of
like
them
a
out
big
there.
thing that I had to learn too, because I was like, I'm just gonna go here because that's what I knew, or I learned in
Hmm.
rehab, and then I started venturing out, and now it's like I found, for me personally, like where I want to be. Like I look forward to that all day.
Like
I'm
a
like,
home group.
can't wait
Yeah.
to get there. You
Yep.
know.
Exactly.
So,
They're everywhere. Yep. Good point.
but I want to get into the fan questions real quick.
Oh, we have
It's a lot of
fan
fan
questions.
comments
Oh,
here. First, Brittany Damon, former guest of the show, she says,
yes.
I went to high school with Rikki. Now,
I know.
were you a year ahead of her? I thought Brittany graduated in '05.
She was a
Okay.
year younger. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
But I knew the same people. So,
Very cool.
mhm.
I met Brittany through softball. I didn't know her, but that makes sense because they split. The older seniors and juniors were at a different building.
I
So,
watched your interview on that and I was having like PTSD flashbacks to like when Penachuk's roof collapsed and then when like
oh
in
God.
Nashua when they started splitting us in the snow and I was like, I can't believe we went through all that. But anyways, yeah. So
Jillian Marie wants to
oh,
says, I'm sorry, a lot of these were comments.
you're fine.
That right there is the best auntie in the world to my baby.
That's my brother's child's mother. So my nephew Jackson, and Shay, of course, my brother, that Jillian is Mama Bear. And she's like my sister-in-law. I love her.
Awesome. Tina M. Anderson, and I think she had commented earlier.
She did.
That's awesome. Congratulations. So a lot of people in your corner there.
Hmm.
Eric Pitts wants to know
Don't read his.
why
Don't.
why have I not heard about this yet? Best friend, come on now.
He's
This
just
isn't
giving.
Eric. This isn't
No,
Eric from college, is it? Okay. Okay.
no, that's Eric Pelletier, and I hope he catches this. He's still down in Wilmington. No, this guy was. He's a friend of mine down here, and he's actually watching my house when I travel this week. So he just didn't know that you were going to have me on this interview thing. So thanks, Eric.
Well, Eric, like the Facebook page, you'll get updates about all the guests.
Oh, he's a
So,
huge Bruins. He's Boston, by the way. He's down here,
okay.
but we ended up hanging out and meeting because he saw my Red Sox tattoo and he was like, "Are you from?" I'm like, and then I saw his like Bruin stuff and I was like, "Are you from?" And then like so, but I mean, he makes fun of me because I don't follow the Bruins. Sorry, Dan, I don't follow the Bruins.
Corey Foxhart wants to know, so proud of you, Rikki. We love you.
Hmm.
Um, and Jerry Fink says, so awesome.
Oh,
Um,
Jerry,
there
Jerry,
was a question I didn't get to write down. Someone asked if you were single.
liar, you're full of it.
No, I'm serious. I came in as a comment, but we had already put down the show. So, um,
I mean,
we generally try to veer away from people hitting on my guests, um,
oh,
on
I hope
social
it's.
media.
Is
But
it somebody for real though, or is it somebody being a
oh,
jerk?
I
Was it
don't know.
was it Tim
Yeah,
Frappier?
he also said, I think it was Joey something.
No,
I
not
think
Joey.
he's on my Facebook, but I think he said congratulations. But I think he was, you know, you
I
shoot
mean,
your
I
shots in
am,
life.
but I
You
don't want
shoot your
to.
shots.
I was
Yeah.
yeah, I was gonna say I am, but it's that's probably something we don't want to uncover right now. So,
Yes, we won't.
I,
We'll go down the road. But that I just thought that was fun. I saw it like right before the show and kind of chuckled at it.
thank you, whoever that was.
Um, the air purifiers store, online store.
Yes, yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
So, okay, I will just I know I love that you said I am the owner of it, which I am, but technically speaking, my father started it. His name is Curtis. I'm sure a lot of the people in Nashua know my father. But I want to say back in 2015, I want to say He did decide that he was going to leave his corporate job. He had been thinking about it for a long, long time. He just was sick of, the rat race, basically. Now, my father is extremely smart, and he's very financially, savvy and business savvy and professional, and was making 6+ figures and traveling the world. And, but he didn't get to live life. You know what I mean? Like, he just felt like he wanted to work long enough to take care of us. And then, like, once we became adults and he kind of was like, I want to do something for me, hence the American dream, he decided to open up an e-commerce business. It is a online only, so we do not have brick and mortar. We don't hold stock, barely. I mean, here and there, but not really. No warehouses or anything. It's a niche driven business. So he did a lot of research in the very beginning on what products would be, not seasonal, for instance. You don't want to sell things that are seasonal, because then what happens on the off season? You're not going to have any sales, right? Like Christmas stuff, Halloween stuff, whatever. You want to sell something that's expensive enough that only certain people want to come buy it, but not trashy and like cheap. And like, he did all this research and he landed on air purification. Okay. Like, it came from doing a bunch of tests and trials and strategies. And so he started the airpurifierstore.com. So that's our site. And I know, Dan, we talked about this. I'm going to actually give out like a coupon code for you to put on your site, and then you can link it back. So if people do want to come check it out, they can. But it ended up, so we ended up partnering basically with manufacturers. That's it. My dad went out from the ground up and just had to earn these big top players that had been in the company making air purifiers for 30+ years, and just convince them to let him be a retailer, a partner. So, and we run the store, we carry their products and represent them, but they ship them to the customers. And then we work with them on the back end of all that stuff. And of course, 2000 and what was it, 20 or whatever, COVID hit. Every single person in the entire world wanted an air purifier.
Oh, I could
so
see
my
that, yeah.
father, I was going to say, here it goes, right? Bless his heart. No, my father started this bootstraps up. It was his dream because he wants to have freedom. He wants to retire soon. He wants to be able to work anywhere. And it ends up wanted to bring me into it as well, to try to give me freedom from a lot of the situation that I was kind of in with the corporate world. And he was running it by himself, just sitting in a computer at his home in Nashua, just, trying to keep himself above water. And COVID hit, and all day, every day, open nonstop phone calls, emails, this, that, whatever. He couldn't keep up. Government, like Social Security offices are calling, Wells Fargo's calling, people are calling and saying, we need, I don't even know, like $100,000 worth of air purifiers. and we need them now. And then of course, COVID went for 3 years, and now we have an established business though, that, it's a personal touch because it's a family thing. So, and it's fun. It's fun. I work from home. I have freedom. To come and go as I please. I can work from anywhere. So there's a lot of flexibility, and the exciting thing is that you can kind of branch off. So we're in the process right now of just trying to decide what we're going to do. Cause I could go open up a couple other, I know it's stores. He kills me when I do this, but they're websites. But they're stores. But I could go open a couple different websites and cross channel my, marketing. Like, hey, we saw you bought this air purifier. Come on over to, I don't know, whatever, humidifiers or something. Like, we've got something for you. And I could run a whole nother store that way. And it's half of it's automated. It's cool. It's really cool. And they are good. I mean, I'm sitting in the wrong room. I've got like 6 air purifiers in my house. They make a difference. They make a serious difference. If you have allergies, I know it's a joke. I liked to joke at first, like, well, what does an air purifier do? How do you even know if it works? And then I owned one and I was like, oh God, why did I not have one of these before? So it's cool. It's cool. And e-commerce definitely there's a lot of potential there. You just have it is still a lot of work though. Like it's a lot of work, you know? So, but fun.
We will, and we'll get that up there for people that are interested. Hopefully, I can get that up
Yeah.
tomorrow. We'll put it up on the Let Freedom Ring for those interested
I'll shoot it to
in
you.
that. I've never used one. I might even have to look into this myself. Um, but no, that's super cool. So I do want to get into one more segment for the night,
Okay.
which is buy or sell. Basically, just simple. It's simple. I'm
I
going to
thought you
give
said
you a
we weren't
word.
gonna do that.
Oh
Okay,
no, we do
go.
this. I'm
Okay.
gonna give you I'm gonna give you a word. Anything. You just tell me if you're buying or selling. Plymouth State University.
Buying. I don't know. I don't know what's
And you gotta tell
how's
us
this,
why.
but what do you
Any reason.
mean?
If you're
What,
selling, you say it sucks. If you're buying, tell me why you would buy.
okay, I get it
You're
now.
buying
Okay.
into.
I have to. I'm alumni. What do you mean? It's P State. Plus, I am the girl that fell in the melted pothole. And they paid me
True.
a lot. They paid me a lot of money to do this. No, I'm just kidding.
Did that
I don't
actually
know if
pay
I'm
off your?
legally allowed to talk about that anymore.
Okay,
Is
we
there
won't.
is
We
there a
won't.
statute of like
Was that like 2006, 7? That was a long
it was
time ago.
2006. Yeah, I still have the scar though. It was pretty.
Yeah.
Do P State? You probably have a lot of people from P State on here watching.
There's a good chance. Yeah. Um, but yeah,
That
I
was
enjoyed.
the girl that sunk in the mud.
We'll never forget her. um, North Carolina.
100% buying, and I think you'd buy if you came down here.
Are you're not? Are you by the beach?
No,
Okay. So yeah, because
I'm
I
4 hours from the beach,
okay.
but there's lakes and there's mountains,
I do
and
like lakes. Do like
so
mountains.
okay. I put it in my thing. At the Appalachian Mountains down here are like the White Mountains in New England. So
Oh yeah.
imagine in the fall how much you love going down the Kangamangas and like going just driving those windy roads and those overlooks and those overpasses and like and then if you end up at Winnipesaukee, you just randomly end up at this like really pretty lake and you think like I'm going to stop and hang out in the lake if it's nice enough. That is like what North Carolina, that's all of central North Carolina. Not coastal, but central, that's all it is. And then I also, if you go over to the other side, where I lived when I first moved here, I lived in like Western. I lived where they. Have you watched Moonshine? Have you watched Moonshiners?
The
The
movie
show.
about no.
Oh, you have. Okay, that's ironic because it's Moonshine, but the show on A&E, Moonshiners, like with Popcorn Sutton and stuff. Like, I mean, my friend
Oh,
down here.
moonshine like alcohol. I was thinking of Moonlight, the movie.
No,
Those are two totally
Moonshiners.
different things. Yeah.
Totally different.
Yeah.
They filmed that where I used to live over there in Haywood County. So that's like redneck country. Like
See, I stayed in when I was dating Renee way back. I stayed in Greensboro
that's where I
for.
just moved from.
Oh, you were in Green, and I was like, yeah, Greensboro. That didn't sell me. That did not
No,
sell me.
no, that's where me and Aaron lived, and that's more like Manchester. Like you have
Yeah.
if you want Plymouth and Meredith, you got to go a little bit. You got to come this way more towards the Appalachian Mountains and towards the Blue Ridge Parkway. Nothing for days, but just it feels like New England.
I did like. Did you go to any of the Grasshopper games when you went there? The
Yes,
minor league.
yes.
I really did enjoy that place.
Oh,
That was
I
cool.
lived like 5 blocks from that. Like we used to take, well, I have pictures on my Facebook. We would go to the Grasshopper games all the time, and we'd always try to win the free biscuits at Biscuitville or the free sausage. They give
Yeah,
you free sausage.
I'll
Sorry, that's
take
the
it.
country part. Yeah, I'm
Um,
buying sausage.
I all the way.
No, it's really
Um,
bad. Sorry, this is a
buy or
family thing.
sell the Boston Red Sox right now.
Oh, right. Don't say right now. I don't follow.
They're pretty bad. It's not looking good.
I'd still say buy just because I don't like any other teams because I'm from New England and it's
All
tattooed
right,
on my ankle.
buy or sell the season.
Dan, you want
And
me to
it's
say
only April.
sell? I'll say sell. I don't know.
We'll
Tell
see
me
how it
what you
turns.
want me to say.
Hey,
Listen, I
we
stopped
forced
watching
nobody to
when
say anything.
Papelbon was gone because he
Oh
was
wow.
No, I didn't stop watching when Papelbon was gone, but that was my favorite season. That's when we burned the couches at Plymouth State, and it's because he was a drunken idiot in his boxers partying on. See what I mean? Like that's my alcoholic brain. I liked
I
it
I
because it was
actually I left. I the two first World Series I did want to see when they won with my dad. So I remember in '07 they were gonna. I
ooh.
was like they're going for the sweep, so I drove back to Nashua so I could
So you
watch
weren't on
watch with my
Russell
dad.
Street when we were burning
No,
down.
I did. To be honest, I wanted no part of that. Like even then,
I
I have to say I disagree with that behavior. After like when you're celebrating, doesn't mean destroy things.
But if you were blacked out,
Yes, then you're gonna do
you
that.
wouldn't even
And
remember if you were part of it.
you should see what the fans at the Red Sox games are doing. Today they had their shirts off, the people in the bleachers. The other day they were drinking out of shoes. So a lot of wild
Like
stuff
Das
happening at
Boot.
Fenway Park. I'm not
I haven't
kidding.
been to I haven't been to Fenway in so long. I need to get back up there and go to Fenway. I miss it.
Yeah, it's a good place.
Okay, so
Uh,
sell, Dan. I'll sell.
all right, we're get okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Um, we're getting older now.
Ugh.
The next generation's kind of coming in. Buy or sell Gen Z.
Sell.
Yes.
Sell. Like, are you kidding me? Like, I know it's a joke, but it's so bad. It's so bad. Okay. I can't keep up with the stuff. Like being sober makes it even harder because I have to listen to it and see it. Like, I'm scared to say anything these days because I'm gonna like I'm gonna offend somebody and they're gonna need to go to like, I mean, I go to therapy because I need therapy, like not because somebody called me a blah, blah, like whatever. Usually I just dish it right back.
Well,
But
we gotta be
yeah,
careful because next thing we say the wrong thing, we're canceled. It's on
I didn't
Twitter.
say anything.
Or-
Oh, Twitter, yeah. I don't tweet, so I don't know.
I
And
mean, I'm
did
not.
you
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say you probably you saw my frail attempt at trying to learn how to do reels. Like I don't even know. I'm done.
I know. I
I
was watching that. I was like, oh, this is why this is a question. I'm like, Ricky's trying to be part of Gen Z. She's
No,
making a
I'm trying to
TikTok.
just do Instagram though. See what's the difference?
Oh, that was
It
Insta.
is
I just assume anything like because I'll go on. I've never used TikTok, right? But I'll go on
go
Instagram, watch
try.
the.
It's fun.
I don't.
Yeah. I'm not
No.
trying to do anything, but then again, I might have to be on the social media for the airpurifierstore.com because that is kind of where you have to push some stuff if you want to get sales. And we do not have a very big presence on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or any of that. So I might want to learn how to at least do some of it. But I really was just jamming out to really bad white trash redneck country music because I love it. And I made that Reba
Oh,
shirt.
well, I thought you were saying that Reba McEntire was a trashy woman, which I was like, wait, have you ever seen the show Reba?
Yeah.
She's
No, but it's
trashy.
trashy's different though. When the Confederate Railroad's singing about trashy women, it's more just like the big hair because they say what is it? The higher the hair, the closer to Jesus. That's what they say down here. So it's like big hair, big lips. But yeah, no. I wasn't
Okay,
saying
now
Reba's trashy.
okay, 'cause that at first I was like, is that why she's wearing the Reba? Is she saying that with Reba McEntire? Because
I
I was
love
like,
Reba.
how dare you
I
say
love
that?
Reba.
She
No,
was a
Reba.
hardworking mom. Okay, the ex-husband's around all the time. She was still good to him. Let's not diss Reba here.
Wait, you're just talking about her fake life on the show though.
I am a secret Reba fan, and I
But
don't
the
even know if I.
show, that's not even really Reba. Like,
You don't know that. I don't know what Reba's like in real life.
did
Maybe
you
that's
know
how
that
she acts.
Reba's daughter-in-law was Kelly Clarkson? Kelly Clarkson was married to her son until they got divorced.
Oh wow.
You did
Yeah.
not. Okay, so you're not really a secret Reba fan. You're just
Okay. I
fancy.
don't.
You're just
I like her.
fancy.
She had a good show. She's
That's true.
not trashy.
Barbara
She.
Jean's trashy.
Yeah. That's what it was. And she. Yes. But that was a good show. It
It
was a
was a
good
very
show.
good show. It was a very good
Uh,
show. I still enjoy it.
do you follow the New England Patriots anymore?
Not since Brady left. I
So, would you buy or sell Mac Jones?
I don't know who that is, and I don't want to get kicked off your show.
You don't know who Mac Jones is?
No, I don't follow. I've had a rough couple of months. Like it's been a rough year.
He's been the quarterback for 2 years.
2 years?
He was drafted in 2021.
When did I watch the last? No, I do not
Wow,
know.
Ricky, I am all
I
right.
I would I would sell. I don't know. You tell me which way should I go?
I'm buying Mac Jones. You know,
Buy.
get him an
That's
offensive
what I said.
coordinator.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what I said first. I meant that. Buy.
Wow. So you are that fan that when they're like, "Oh, the Patriots fans," wow. Were you watching the
Well,
Bucks?
I was only because I wanted to see how Tom Brady did. No, I'm not a bandwagon because I've always been the fan. I've always been a New England fan. I am uneducated. There's a difference. Like I don't follow the actual sports and like how many things like my friend Eric yells at me, the one that said I said likes the Bruins because he's like, "What do you mean? This is the longest streak that anybody's gone winning streaks." And I was like, "Cool." Like, but will I go to any other hockey games? Probably not. Like, will I go to a Bruins game? Yeah, because I'm from New England. Does that make
Actually,
sense at
full
all?
full disclosure, the Bruin I've never been to a Bruins game, never had desire to go to a Bruins game. I am
Like,
not a
same,
hockey
what?
guy. I will root for the Bruins when they in the playoffs and everything, but I am admittedly not. I'm not like I root for the Bruins, but I just don't care
That
about that
okay.
league.
That is me in all sports because
But
I
if
just
you
don't
named a
follow.
Bruins player, there's a chance I've heard the name before.
You're asking me. I don't even know who the quarterback was for the Patriots.
That is probably the most shocking part of this whole show
I'm
that you
not
didn't
gonna
know
lie
Mac
though. I've been
Jones.
in North Carolina long enough that I really followed the Cam Newton debacle that I more than I did. Like once Brady left and it was like like whoever he's at the Bucks. Then I started watching Cam Newton dressing like he was a 90-year-old grandma and acting like a weirdo, and it got more
Cam
exciting to watch that.
Cam's got style, some weird
God,
style. Have you heard
there's
of the
wrong.
band the 1975?
Have I what?
Heard of the band the 1975? Okay, I'm gonna skip that. Just
Why?
because
Was
that
there a song I should know?
no, there's a ton of good. I mean, they're amazing.
The
That's
19
like
are they
my
local?
no, they're pretty much a pretty big name band that I never heard of, and then started listening to them and can't stop listening to them.
Okay, well thanks. It'll go on my list.
Definitely look them up. All right,
Mhm.
last one. This could be a
Okay.
tough one because, like, now
Oh.
knowing the story, you left this place, but
Mhm.
still was your home. Are you buying
It
or
is.
selling Nashville, New Hampshire?
That is a tough one because it's not the Nashua that I grew up with. Like when I go back to visit, it feels like home in certain places, but it feels so different in other places. I'd say buying because it's always my home. Doesn't matter. Like it's where my nephew's growing up. It's where my family raised me. I still go down to Britain's Landing near the big one and take like go see my old home and stuff. Like, and no matter what, that's always gonna take me back. But I know there's a lot of stuff that's kind of like changing and evolving and I don't know, good and bad, but always buying for me. Always buying Nashua. Always has my heart.
Absolutely. Same here. But Ricky, I really want to thank you for coming on the show. This has been an absolute blast. Love to
It
do this
has been
again
a blast.
sometime.
Yeah,
Um,
look at my license plate on the wall. Do you see it? New Hampshire.
I remember that, Victoria.
It's my New Hampshire
Yeah,
license plate. It's still
yeah.
with me. I probably should have turned that in, but that's okay. We won't talk about that.
No police are gonna watch the show, but that was also like 10 years ago. I think
Yeah,
statutes of
something like that. Something
limitation.
like that.
But yes,
Good seeing you.
you too. We'll get stuff up on the page about the air purifier store where you can find all
Awesome.
that. We'll get that up tomorrow. It's late, um, and we're both old now, so 10:30.
Is it
It's
10:30?
it is 10:30. So,
It's time for bed.
uh, all right, everybody out there, keep your heads up. Have a great rest of your night. We'll be in studio on Thursday, but until next time, let freedom ring.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks.